Let's start with first news. Israel Adesanya and Demetrius Johnson believe Islam Makhachev may only need 2 more fights before seriously considering retirement. Adesanya believes that if Islam picks up 1 or 2 more victories, he may have accomplished enough to finally stop chasing that next challenge. Instead of continuing to risk his body inside the octagon, Islam could step away while still at the top and enjoy everything he has already built. Adesanya also pointed to Khabib as an example. Even though Khabib is no longer competing, he remains deeply involved in the sport through his team. Because of that, he can still experience the pressure, stress, and anxiety that come with having fighters competing. That could eventually be the same path for Islam. He already has several fighters around him who are continuing to compete and rise through the ranks. Islam has Usman, Umar, Shanko, and several other teammates coming up, giving him plenty of ways to remain connected to MMA without putting his own body through the same punishment. The idea is that Islam doesn't necessarily need to fight forever to stay involved in the sport. He could eventually transition into a role where he helps the next generation, supports his teammates, and remains part of their journey. With Islam already achieving so much in his career, Adesanya and Johnson believe just 1 or 2 more major wins could potentially be enough for him to walk away on his own terms. Instead of chasing an endless number of fights, Islam could choose to leave while he's still at the top, protect his health, and continue building his legacy outside the octagon. Move on to another news. Carlos Prates has sent a clear warning to Michael Morales, insisting that he is not afraid of the undefeated contender and claiming he would knock him out fast if the UFC ever puts them together. Prates addressed the talk surrounding Morales, who apparently believes Carlos is avoiding a fight with him. However, Prates completely rejected that idea and made it clear that he has no fear of fighting Morales. Prates explained that as long as his opponent has 2 arms and 2 legs, just like him, he is willing to step into the cage and fight. He then directly responded to the claim that he is scared, saying that he has never been afraid to fight Morales. According to Prates, he currently believes he is the #1 contender and expects to fight for the UFC title next. He also pointed out that the UFC has not offered him a fight against Morales. But Prates made it very clear that if the UFC does eventually offer him the matchup, he would happily accept it. In fact, he didn't just say he would beat Morales. He confidently predicted that he would knock him out in the first round. Prates told Morales not to worry because they will eventually fight, and when that happens, he believes the result will be a quick knockout. However, Prates also made his current priorities clear. He wants to get the belt first, and after that, he is more than willing to run the fight with Morales. He repeated that he is ready whenever the opportunity comes, telling Morales to simply let him know when the fight is available. The message from Prates was simple. He's not scared, he's ready to fight, and if they finally meet inside the octagon, he believes Morales will be going to sleep in the first round. Move on to another news. Khamzat has sent a direct message to Dana White, making it clear that he wants to get back inside the octagon and is waiting for his next opportunity. Since losing the middleweight title to Sean Strickland at UFC 328, Khamzat has remained focused on getting another chance to compete. Following the loss, he has repeatedly called for a rematch on X, making it clear that he doesn't want to sit on the sidelines for too long. Today, Khamzat added even more fuel to the situation by posting a photo of himself holding the championship belt. The image immediately caught attention because it appeared to show that Khamzat is still thinking about becoming champion again. Along with the photo, Khamzat wrote a very short but powerful message directed toward Dana White. He asked, "What are we waiting for?" before making his intentions completely clear. Khamzat then added that he wants to fight Dana White, making the message sound like he is demanding an answer about what comes next for his career. The timing of the post is especially interesting because Khamzat has been consistently pushing for another opportunity since losing the title. Rather than moving away from the championship picture, he appears determined to get himself back into position and prove that the previous result doesn't define him. For Khamzat, the goal seems simple: get another fight, work his way back toward the top, and ultimately reclaim the belt. His decision to post a picture with the championship also sends a strong message. He clearly still sees himself as someone who belongs at the very top of the middleweight division, and he doesn't appear interested in waiting around without a clear plan. Now, the ball is seemingly in the UFC's court. Khamzat has made his intentions known publicly, and he wants to know what comes next. Whether the UFC gives him the rematch he has been demanding or sends him toward another contender, Khamzat is making one thing very clear. He wants to fight, he wants another opportunity, and he wants to get back to championship gold. His latest message to Dana White shows that Khamzat is ready to move forward and is not interested in waiting any longer for his next big opportunity. Move on to another news. Max Holloway and Islam Makhachev recently had a little back and forth on social media, and it all started with Max questioning why Islam was still carrying around 2 championship belts. During a recent live stream, Max noticed that Islam was still carrying both belts despite currently holding only the welterweight championship. Max couldn't understand why Islam was still bringing both titles with him. Max basically pointed out that Islam had previously held 2 belts temporarily, but now that he is defending just 1 championship, he wondered why Islam continued carrying both of them around. Islam eventually saw the clip and responded directly on Instagram. His response was short, but it definitely caught Max's attention. Islam wrote, "I don't know, bro. It's not even too heavy to hold, but you don't understand. Sorry." Max then responded during his own live stream, and instead of simply talking about Islam's comment, he decided to show exactly how many UFC belts he has. Max started flexing his collection of championship titles, making it clear that he knows a thing or two about what it feels like to carry multiple belts. He also joked that someone else might be running Islam's social media account because of the strange response. Max repeated Islam's exact message before admitting that he wasn't completely sure what Islam meant by saying the belts weren't too heavy. But Max wasn't finished. He began picking up his own championship belts one after another, joking that he could keep going because he had more titles to show. Max continued displaying his belts while talking about how heavy they actually are. He even joked that if anyone thinks the belts he was holding were replicas, they needed to do their homework. Max then revealed that he had another one as well, continuing to stack up the championship hardware. At one point, Max joked that the person running Islam's Instagram must have been hit in the head too many times, quickly clarifying that he wasn't talking about Islam himself. The whole exchange was clearly playful, but Max's response definitely sent a message. While Islam joked that carrying 2 belts wasn't difficult, Max decided to demonstrate just how much championship hardware he's accumulated throughout his own career. It turned into a hilarious back and forth, with Max essentially saying that he knows how heavy those belts can be. Move on to another news. Arman has found himself at the center of a major controversy after making comments about Charles Oliveira's withdrawal from their upcoming fight. Arman and Charles were originally expected to run it back at UFC 331 next month. However, Charles withdrew after the sudden passing of his close friend and teammate, Alan Nascimento. Following the withdrawal, Arman was matched up with Mauricio Rufy instead. During an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, Arman explained that he was originally preparing for a 5-round fight with Charles when he received a call informing him about the replacement opponent. Arman said he was told that Charles couldn't continue because his friend had passed away and he was unable to train. However, Arman questioned the situation, claiming that just 3 or 4 days later, he saw Charles doing live training and appearing to be back in camp. Arman then suggested that Charles may have simply been looking for an excuse to pull out. He also claimed that Charles would rather fight Diego Lopez than face him again. Arman acknowledged that losing someone close to you is extremely difficult, but he still argued that Charles could have fought him and potentially dedicated the victory to his late friend. Those comments immediately triggered a huge reaction from the MMA community, with many fans criticizing Arman for what they considered an insensitive statement. One of the most common responses pointed out the irony of Arman criticizing someone for withdrawing, considering he previously pulled out of a title fight against Islam because of a back issue. Another fan argued that there was absolutely no reason for Charles to be scared of Arman, especially considering the level of competition Charles has already faced throughout his career. Fans pointed out that Charles has fought some of the biggest names in the sport, including Islam, Ilya, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, and Tony Ferguson. Others went even further, calling Arman's comments completely disrespectful and accusing him of being the last person who should be talking about excuses. Some fans even expressed their frustration by saying they hoped Mauricio Rufy would defeat Arman badly, while others criticized Arman for making such harsh comments about someone dealing with the death of a close friend. The backlash shows just how strongly the MMA community reacted, with many believing Arman crossed a line by questioning Charles's decision during such a difficult moment. Move on to another news. Henry Cejudo believes Carlos Prates could be a very favorable stylistic matchup for Islam Makhachev at welterweight. Cejudo explained that if the UFC wants to handle the welterweight title picture properly, there is one fight that needs to happen first. According to him, Carlos Prates should face Michael Morales in a matchup to determine the #1 contender. Cejudo emphasized that the UFC shouldn't simply pick one fighter and hand them the next title opportunity. Instead, he believes Prates and Morales should settle the contender situation inside the octagon. However, Cejudo then shifted his attention to Islam and explained why he believes Prates could actually be an interesting opponent for the former lightweight champion. From a stylistic perspective, Cejudo believes Prates could be a great matchup for Islam at 170 pounds. His reasoning comes from what happened when Prates previously faced Ian Gary. Cejudo pointed out that Gary was able to have success against Prates, and he believes that performance provides an important clue about how Islam could potentially approach the matchup. In Cejudo's opinion, if Ian Gary was able to find openings against Prates, Islam could potentially exploit similar weaknesses while bringing an entirely different level of wrestling and grappling into the fight. Cejudo also made it clear that he doesn't necessarily believe Gary dominated Prates. In fact, he argued that Gary only won one round in his opinion. Still, the fact that Gary was able to create certain problems for Prates is what caught Cejudo's attention. That is why Cejudo sees Prates as a potentially favorable stylistic opponent for Islam. At the same time, Cejudo believes the UFC should still make the ranking situation clear. If Prates wants to fight for the championship, he should first prove himself against Morales, who Cejudo considers a serious contender at 170 pounds. Cejudo specifically pointed toward Morales as the fighter who deserves consideration for the #1 contender position. With Morales undefeated and continuing to rise through the division, Cejudo believes the UFC needs to take his position seriously. So, while Prates may be an exciting option for Islam down the line, Cejudo's preferred route is clear. Let Prates and Morales fight first, determine the true #1 contender, and then set up the next welterweight title fight. From a pure stylistic standpoint, though, Cejudo believes Carlos Prates could be exactly the kind of opponent who gives Islam a matchup he can take advantage of. Move on to another news. Sean Strickland has leaked private messages between himself and Tyron Woodley after a heated argument involving Dean Thomas. The situation started after Sean went off on Dean over the way he handled the Jillian Robertson situation. Sean criticized Dean publicly and made several harsh comments about him. Tyron Woodley, who has a long history with Dean as both a friend and former student, decided to reach out to Sean privately and defend him. However, the conversation quickly became heated. Sean eventually posted a screenshot of their private conversation on X, exposing the entire exchange to the public. Woodley warned Sean to watch what he was saying about Dean, explaining that Sean didn't know what he was talking about. Woodley acknowledged that they often laugh when Sean has no filter, but he accused Sean of repeatedly crossing the line. Woodley made it clear that he was extremely loyal to Dean and told Sean not to cross that boundary. Sean, however, wasn't backing down. He responded by challenging Woodley, essentially telling him that there was nothing he could do about it. Sean then continued attacking Dean and made it clear that he had no intention of taking back what he said. The situation escalated even further when Sean sent Woodley a screenshot of his Tapology record, specifically highlighting the losing streak toward the end of Woodley's professional career. Sean added another insult to the screenshot, mocking Woodley's record and calling it weak. The exchange quickly spread across social media, with fans reacting to the unexpected confrontation between two former UFC champions. What started as Sean criticizing Dean Thomas suddenly turned into a private argument, with Tyron Woodley becoming public. Sean has never been known for holding back his opinions, and this situation was no different. Instead of backing down after Woodley's warning, Sean doubled down and went straight after Woodley's record. The leaked messages have now added another layer to the ongoing drama, with both fighters making it clear that neither one was willing to back down during the heated exchange.